the hell was that back there?
Stryker. His name is Stryker.
Who is he?
I can't remember.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. I'm your host, Wes, as always, and this is a bit of an unexpected video. I was planning on covering all the New York City Comic-Con announcements tomorrow, one Marvel video and one DC video, but they made a huge announcement regarding the Dawn of X and Wolverine, and I wanted to cover it here today. So first, I'm going to go over the Newsarama article. I'm going to give my thoughts on the importance of Wolverine the character and how important he is to Marvel Comics, and then I'm going to talk about the specific creators and what I think they bring to the table for the new Wolverine series. And then at the end, I'm going to talk to my good friend Perch on Comics and get his thoughts on the new Wolverine creative team and direction of Dawn of X. So let's start out with the Newsarama article. Spinning out of the pages of Jonathan Hickman's massive X-Men plans, a new Wolverine title is launching in early 2020. Announced during Saturday's X-Men Dawn of X panel at New York City Comic Con, this 2020 Wolverine title will be Logan's first ongoing in 5 years. X-Force writer Benjamin Percy will be helming the new Wolverine title, picking up from his previous work, writing both seasons of Stitcher's Wolverine podcast drama. Drawing Wolverine will be the rotating team of Adam Kubert and Viktor Bogdonavic. I couldn't be more eager to put my own slash mark on this legendary character, joined by Adam Kubert, said Percy during the panel. We all have that character, the one we love more than any other, the one we treasure in books and movies, and maybe memorialize with a t-shirt or tattoo. The one we relate to as a cracked mirror version of ourselves. Percy added in a subsequent statement, for me, as a growly, grumpy, hairy, smelly, muscled, flannel-clad, whiskey-swilling loner who lives in the woods of the frozen north, it's Logan. And though this might sound corny, it also feels right to say that riding Wolverine is a dream come true, a childhood fantasy realized. No kidding, bub. Kubert has been drawing Wolverine off and on for 26 years, from drawing a portion of Larry Hama's epic Wolverine run in the early 1990s to drawing Wolverine Weapon X, Astonishing Spider-Man and Wolverine, and Origin 2. That would be in addition to drawing Wolverine during his various runs on X-Men titles. For Bogdanovich, Wolverine will be the artist's first major Marvel work since jumping over from DC earlier in the year. Over at DC, Bogdanovich is best known for his run on Action Comics with Dan Jurgens. So generally speaking over the years, when Marvel's at its most healthy, it has 3 to 4 tentpole titles. Normally they come from 3 different IPs. Spider-Man, Avengers, or X-Men. Now Spider-Man is such a popular character, you can actually get 2 tentpoles out of that one, with Amazing Spider-Man of course being the flagship, but you could also have an adjectiveless Spider-Man or even Spectacular Spider-Man if you have the right artist on it, that could also be a tentpole. With Avengers, you can really only have one Avengers title that is really, really popular at a time. They've had multiple Avenger teams going on at once, but it's always the one flagship team that really stands out above the rest. And none of the individual characters like Iron Man or Captain America ever really elevate themselves up to being another tentpole title. So really out of Avengers, you can only get one. And then you have X-Men. And you can get 2 tentpole titles out of X-Men. You can have 2 team books, but there's one individual character in X-Men that can actually be his own tentpole, and that's Wolverine. He's so popular as a character, he can actually elevate himself above the X-Men with his own title, depending on the circumstances. So this is really important because right now, Marvel most certainly has one tentpole in X-Men. They possibly have another one in Amazing Spider-Man. It's doing pretty well, but I don't think Nick Spencer's really the right creator. And Avengers is really bad right now with Jason Aaron, so they need another tentpole to come out of X-Men. Now, I thought X-Force might do that, but no one's ever really elevated that series except for Rob Liefeld. Now, Wolverine coming into the fold as its own standalone series could be that second X-Men tentpole that I don't really see coming out of the other Dawn of X titles. Now, I'm personally really excited for X-Force and Fallen Angels, but I don't see those or any of the other Dawn of X titles really elevating themselves up to being tentpole status. But this Wolverine comic can absolutely do it, and they have a really good creative team in my opinion. I think Benjamin Percy is a severely underrated writer. I really enjoyed his time at DC Comics. He's best known for his Green Arrow run, but I personally liked his run on Nightwing even better. And one of the things I actually like about his run on Nightwing is how he exited. When Tom King had Dick Grayson shot in the head in Batman 55, giving him amnesia, Benjamin Percy was a writer on Nightwing at the time. and he had his own story arc mapped out, and he presented it to DC Comics, and they didn't like it. They wanted him to go in a new direction, for him to have amnesia and be called Rick Grayson, no longer being Dick Grayson anymore. And Benjamin Percy wasn't with that. Rather than adjusting his own creative ideas for the series, he said, no, I'm going to go leave and I'll go do something else. And I really like that, because we all know Nightwing went to crap as soon as they gave him amnesia and he went with Rick Grayson. Benjamin Percy had the right instincts about the character, that was a bad direction. Hell, Dan Jurgens couldn't even save that lame story arc. So after that, he went to Marvel Comics. He's been writing a podcast series for them featuring Wolverine. Now, Wolverine really isn't the main character. He's kind of a backdrop character that the townspeople talk about. But he certainly has a real appreciation for Wolverine. You can see it in the series. And I personally couldn't be more excited to see Ben Percy on this project. I think his X-Force is going to be great, and I think his Wolverine is going to be even better. And joining him on the art team are Adam Kubert and Viktor Bogdonavic. Adam Kubert of the Drawing Kuberts and the Kubert School is a longtime veteran in the industry. He has done work for 20, 30 years. He's done extensive work on Wolverine, and most recently, I remember him being on Chip Zdarsky's Spectacular Spider-Man, which is a great series. It's definitely the best Spider-Man run of the last 3 or 4 years at least. So I think he's the perfect choice for this. You bring in a veteran artist who's familiar with the character, who can help Ben Percy, a newer creative talent at Marvel Comics, but he can also help out Viktor Bogdanovich, another new creator at Marvel Comics. He was recently at DC Comics. He had a lot of work with Dan Jurgens on Action Comics, but what I remember is him taking over for John Romita Jr. on The Silencer. I'm not going to say he's a better artist than John Romita Jr., but he was certainly a better fit for The Silencer than he was. I thought the visuals in the series picked up, and I think he is a great choice for Wolverine. Having two primary artists in the series makes me think this is bi-monthly. Marvel is really going hard in the paint with X-Men, with their Phase 1. It's already 6 series. In December, they're releasing 2 issues of each. And then in February, Phase 2 starts with this series, and it appears that it's going to be bi-monthly. And that's going to be a lot of pressure on X-Men fans' wallets. Me personally, I'm excited for this. I will definitely be all in on Wolverine with Ben Percy, Adam Kubert, and Viktor Bogdanovich. And the first announcement from Dawn of X Phase 2 is an enormous success, in my opinion. What say you? Please let me know in the comments section below. Welcome to the channel, Perch. We got some big news today regarding Dawn of X Phase 2. Wolverine by Ben Percy with Adam Kubert and Viktor Bogdanovich. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a cool team. I think it's interesting. This wasn't the first Phase 2 title I thought would come out. That's a bit of a surprise. But it makes sense. I mean, it's been you were expecting a solo Wolverine title for a while now, and here he is. Ben Percy, the guy who's doing X-Force, so that's a simple tie-in to I think what's going to be going on there. Wolverine leading the Wetworks team, so keeping it in line. But this was not the title I thought was going to come first.
Yeah, when Hickman first started talking about Dawn of X and then Phase 2, the first 2 names were Vita Ayala and Leah Williams. And then I know there was some rumblings that maybe Jonathan Hickman would actually be writing one of the titles. So this was out of left field for me. I wouldn't have been surprised by a Wolverine title, but Wolverine by Ben Percy is amazing. I couldn't be more excited about this. As a retailer, what are you thinking?
No, it's good. It's a good team. It's a good connection to the other book. Kubert is an artist that is known to Wolverine. I mean, he's done Wolverine before, and people like that run. So I think it's a really smart team. I hope it sticks longer than like 3 issues. But I think that's good. And I think we're still going to get a Hickman title. I strongly believe we're still getting a Hickman title. I think that will be the last one announced because that's going to be the big one. So they'll wait. And then I think in terms of Leah Williams, I think I mentioned last time I was on your show that there's talk of an anthology title or something where some different artists are going to rotate in and out. And I still suspect that's where she's going, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, this is great. It feels like Hickman's managing his talents well. Percy is already writing the Marvel podcast for Wolverine. He has an affinity for the character. I already talked about the interview in my report. He loves Wolverine, so I think he's a terrific choice as a creator. And like I said, Kubert's drawn Wolverine for years, and Viktor Bogdanovich, he did a great job replacing John Romita Jr. on The Silencer. And he worked on Action Comics, so he's not, he's worked on big characters before that had a lot of clout. And I think Marvel's expecting Wolverine to maybe be that 3rd or 4th tentpole for him.
It could be. I mean, it was once upon a time. I think Marvel would love to go back to the days when Wolverine was a top-selling book that carried titles, and so it's a good move. The X-Men, the whole run here, and we'll see how it's going to land in just 3 days now. We'll see how it's all going to finish up. But the X line has been managed really, really well. He's curating good talent. The books look promising. They've got good hooks. As long as he can stick to the landing, and these new issues all start out reasonably well. I saw some preview pages from Excalibur that looked good. That was the title I was most worried about, and some of the hook and what Teenie Howard talked about actually on the panel sounded reasonable. It sounded like a title that would sell. So. Hey, it's great. The only funny thing about Wolverine and this announcement is the images where he's still got his hot claws, and the amount of fans who do not know what that is hilarious to me. But
there's also the weird thing, that Wolverine's been reincarnated now, and like, how does he still have adamantium claws? Shouldn't they be bone claws? I know that was a big question, and people were like, whoa, it's Proteus, and then it's like, well, Proteus is has trouble with metal. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I hopefully they address that, right?
I would hope so. I mean, Wolverine was always a character of had mutant, had powers, and then had the adamantium skeleton fused to him. It was an unnatural thing that happened to him. So the fact that he's getting kind of resurrected with all of that as well is strange. And then the fact that they're keeping with Soleil's hot claws gimmick, which it came out during the resurrection issues, but it's amazing how many people just passed on that whole series and are now left with a lot of questions. So that's going to be a funny thing for them to address.
I don't really blame them. That Return of Wolverine, it wasn't very good. I like the Steve McNiven art, I think in the first and the last issue.
Yeah.
And that I wasn't really a big fan. It wasn't the Return of Wolverine I was really hoping for, but yeah, this is really exciting. I know, phase 2 is going to be more than one series. Are you expecting 2, 3? How many series should it be?
I keep hearing 3. I keep hearing that we're getting 3 books. So 2 more to go. And like I said, everything I've heard is that Hickman will be on one of the books, doing one of the titles. And so I expect there to be a kind of a middle title announcement that will be kind of so-so, or maybe with some of the larger characters. And I expect that last announcement with Hickman. And I would guess that we're going to get it within the next 30 days or so.
So you're expecting a little palate cleanser to bring people down a bit before we get the announcement for Uncanny X-Men. It's got to be Uncanny X-Men, right?
I think so. I mean, I can't imagine it wouldn't be, but yeah, I think we'll get Uncanny X-Men. And I don't know. I've gone back and forth and speculating what we're going to get. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Jean Grey-led title or something where they have a female team or a female character that they want to promote, push. It kind of feels like the mix they'll want to do, but we'll see. I think that Storm's another decent candidate, I think, for a book if it's going to be a solo title. So I think that's kind of what we'll get. And I think, like I said, they'll have the next month or so. They'll let this thing land. They'll let some of the new issues start to roll out, and then by about mid-November, I think we'll get the announcement for a March or an April Uncanny X-Men.
Man, like a rotating team of RB Silva and Pepe Larraz on Uncanny X-Men. Oh, I think people would lose their minds, bro.
Please. It was interesting. I saw a comment from Pepe Larraz that somebody asked him, wow, how'd you keep up with the, monthly, doing not monthly, but every other week schedule? And it's like, well, I had some advance notice, but he's like, honestly, it wasn't that hard. I was able to do it. I was able to meet that schedule. It's like, yes, okay, great. More of that, please. Let's meet the schedule, get the books out, do a good run.
All right, before we go, I have one last question. There's 2 primary artists, so my mind automatically said it's bi-monthly. Is is your interpretation as well?
It's hard to say. So I mean, Marvel's calling all these books monthly, or if they say anything at all, and they're doing a lot of extra shipping. I use the word double shipping. Last time confused people, but
threw me off.
Yeah, it's in November we get almost all these books. We're getting 2 issues, I think, of Excalibur, 2 issues of Fallen Angels, 2 issues of X-Men. I would be shocked if they didn't do the same thing with Wolverine. We'll get kind of a first issue. We'll get a launch party. Interestingly enough, this book's coming out in February. Marvel did a big kind of push at the beginning of New York City Comic Con that they had 5 #1 issues coming out in January, big #1 issues. We've heard 4 of them. There's still 1 mystery one left. So there's another shot here that we get kind of Uncanny X-Men or one of the big X books in January, because it hasn't been announced as part of that. But once it comes out, I expect to do double shipping, twice a month for a while without them officially saying it's bi-monthly, just so they could cut it off and go back to monthly if they wanted to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Perch. If people want to follow you, on your YouTube or social media, where can they find you?
It's just Comic Perch on Twitter and Comic Perch on YouTube. So you can check me out there. And thanks for having me on. Glad to give some comments.
Yeah, thanks for joining me and giving us some brief comments. And there will be a link to his YouTube channel on the end screen. So thank you very much, Perch, and I'll talk to you later, brother.
Take care.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.